We need an MP who will champion our community, who will fight to save Battersea Sports Centre, who will vote for cheaper, simpler childcare, who will make sure property developers contribute their fair share of affordable housing. This is unlike the current Conservative administration, trying to charge children's play at Battersea Park, Adventure Playground, closing 1 o'clock clubs, introducing the highest bedroom tax in the country. This isn't the Battersea or London that I know about. For I'll always talk up Battersea. It's not the riots, but the clean-up. It's not knife crime, but the peace concert organised by teenagers from the Donington estate. And it's not failing schools, but it's the head boy of John Burns Primary School who told me he wants to become a barrister. That's Labour smashing the glass ceilings that hold far too many of us back. That's why I want you to send me to Westminster. Thank you very much.
And now we have Jane Ellison from the Conservative Party.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to KLS and the Battersea Society for organising tonight, and to all of you for attending. The last time I was in this hall, I was playing second fiddle to Elsa from Frozen at the Wandsworth Citizens Christmas party. Over the last 5 years, there have been some very difficult decisions, but I'm proud of the way that the coalition government has turned our economy around, creating 1,000 jobs a day, cutting the deficit in half, and cutting taxes for 26 million people. Locally, that's had a real impact. We've seen youth unemployment more than halved, unemployment cut by 40% in Battersea, and 575 new businesses formed in Battersea since 2010. So people in Battersea have played their part in this remarkable economic turnaround, a job which isn't done, and I applaud them for that. But what does that mean? That means more money we can spend on vital public services like the NHS. It means more money we can spend on things like my priorities at this locally, investment in public transport, every child having the best start in life. For me, one of my personal priorities, ending FGM in a generation, which has been something I've worked on throughout the Parliament, and supporting local businesses in practical ways. I'm president of Wandsworth Chamber of Commerce, and I've tried to do that in lots of ways, helping local business. Because I remember my first job was in a job centre when I was 19, and I remember what it was like sitting down with grown men who just lost their jobs and what the absence of work meant to people. And that left an indelible impression on me as a 19-year-old. So I think jobs and work and employment really matter. And it's been a great privilege to serve this constituency. I've had 14,000 different constituents contact me, dealt with 23,000 different cases, had hundreds of surgeries, and worked with charities, schools and groups right across the constituency, irrespective of their political affiliations. It's been a privilege. I've tried to do it in a positive and practical way, and if I'm re-elected, I will try to continue in the same vein. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. Finally, we have Chris Howe from the UK Independence Party. Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you, Aaron, and Katherine, Lois and the Battersea Society for organising this meeting. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but really I've heard this before. What I don't hear, although it's been briefly alluded to with the motto. What's been briefly alluded to in the motto is something that you might find on a balance sheet. It's within us all, and that's spirit. And we have to believe that there's a spirit in each of us to make change for the better. Now, on the 15th of June, there are celebrations to mark the 800th anniversary of the signing of the Magna Carta. Those celebrations will be a sham. The reason they're a sham is that the protections we've been afforded, that our fathers and their parents and our forebears have sacrificed a lot, which we take for granted. We flick a switch, we have a light, we turn the tap. We take for granted. We have got security on our mother's knee. She doesn't think of it, we don't think of it. We are what we are. We're a nation that's been developed over hundreds of years. This makes us what we are. Maybe the weather, we're an island, I don't know, but we are what we are because we're based on a Christian faith, and that is something I'm vowed to uphold. And I'm shocked at the lack of democracy there is in this country, which many thousands, tens of hundreds, well, millions of people actually, are looking to change in the proper way through the legal process, the democratic process. There are, 180, 200 people here, and I think that's amazing. I think that's so fantastic. And we need to encourage more of these meetings. And when looking at control of our own destinies, we need look no further. It won't cost a penny. Don't need the balance sheets. It's in there. And what we don't do as a society is listen. Paul Simon wrote a beautiful song, Sound of Silence. I recommend you listen to that when you get home or over the next few days. It's haunting, but to listen from the Spirit within, and it will tell us what to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Right, so before we asked people to submit some questions, we've had 6 or 7 different questions that have come in that we shall try and include throughout the course of the evening. To kick things off, we've asked somebody who has submitted a question to lead us off for this evening. So, Anne, there are some roving mics around, I think, and we're going to take our first question. Hang on a second.
Social housing in the... Yes, let me start again. I'm appalled by the lack of social housing, particularly in all of the 9 island developments, where I understand in the first phase of the Howe station site, there are precisely 3 affordable units, so-called affordable. There's loads to buy if you're unbelievably rich, and probably leave, but very little, if anything, if you're an ordinary person, ordinary income, maybe working in the public sector. There's nothing. Now, there's very little also in this constituency to rent if you're not pretty well off and maybe working in the city, because rents are so high. This inequality epitomises the inequality that's in this constituency. And such inequality stifles the life chances of the most disadvantaged. What should be elected?
So the question is...
I understand the question. What should be elected? What do you do about this?
Thank you, Anne. Jane, would you kick us off, please?
I think it's been agreed we're going to stay sitting down.
Okay, is that on now? Right. I think we're all going to remain seated for questions, if that's all right. We're checking that our mics are on. Well, you certainly touch on an issue that is much debated in this constituency. I think your statistics on 9 now is a little unfair. I mean, across the whole 9 developments area, the council has committed to 20% affordable housing. And that will be once the whole scheme is delivered, plus huge investment in the new tube, and importantly, the creation of 20,000 odd jobs in 9 hours. And I think that's a really important thing for all the people in this constituency. It's certainly true to say that the communities that are in that part of Battersea now are amongst the poorest in the constituency. And actually, new employment and making sure that they have the training to help them get some of those new jobs is going to be really important. The Conservative Party today in its manifesto is committed to build 200,000 new starter homes. The council has got a new housing strategy, the Wanted Housing Offer, which commits to 18,000 new homes over the next 10 years, of which 5,000 will be low cost, and there'll be more the shared equity in that. I would just make one point in closing, which is that I don't agree with your premise that only the super rich can live in Battersea. Apart from anything else, there are thousands of social homes and housing association homes. So this is a mixed community, and it will remain a mixed community. But I think it's also the case that we need supply right across the price ranges for people who live in Battersea.
Husbands are waiting.
Right, we're going to go through the, we'll take it in turns, okay? Well,
Okay, so thank you. So thank you, Aaron, for the question. Housing is certainly the most important issue that I think faces us in this election. Let me just share a few thoughts with you. Firstly, the Patmore estate, which you may know is nestled between 9 Elms on its east and Battersea Power Station on its north. Residents there are telling me that workers are coming, they're parking there on a Monday morning, they're leaving there on a Friday night because they can't afford, workers that are working on the construction site can't afford to live here. And if you just look at Rightmove and type in 9 Elms, then properties there, studio flat would go for 1.4 million, a 3-bed apartment 5.7 million, certainly not housing that anyone that I know could afford. Labour will double the amount of home building in the country, but also reform the rental market, which is a big issue for the third of Battersea residents that are private renters. But locally, I would fight really hard to increase the quota of affordable housing. And just 2 examples to close. One is on Lombard Road, a monstrosity 28-storey building that's planned there with less than 1 in 10 affordable homes. And the second one is just behind us on what's currently the home-based site on York Road, sold to Fifth Capital developers for 57 million, 20 stories, and again, minimum levels of affordable housing. I think in this mixed community that's not good enough, and I'd be fighting for more affordable housing.
Thanks. Somebody said earlier, I think, that the Green Party had lots of great ideas but not many solutions. We've got some very good ones on housing. Affordable housing is not affordable. What the Green Party would do is, instead of basing affordable housing on a percentage, and at the moment affordable housing is classified as between 60 and 80% of market